Just a couple bad weather fans representing New York, talking all things sports. Man, what could go wrong? We got Alex, who's a fan of the Knicks, and Mike of the Nets. The yin-yang of the tri-state, place your bets on the Yankees, Giants, Mets, or Jets. Yeah, you should listen if they're sparking your interest. If you made a vow to your team, don't break it. Bad weather fans is the relation.
That's right. This is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 132. Mike Biseglia, Alex Benezowitz, and we've got some New York Knicks news to talk about. No, Donovan Mitchell has not been traded yet. If you're listening to this, we are recording it on a Tuesday evening, but the Knicks did extend RJ Barrett. Alex, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy about the RJ Barrett news. A little weird the way it went down. We'll get into all of that. But we have a very special announcement, as you can see right down here if you're watching on YouTube. What is it, Mike?
Yes, thank you very much, Alex. And we are excited to announce that we are partnering up again with DraftKings. So the wait is almost over. A new football season is about to begin. Get ready for the NFL Week 1 action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. To celebrate the return of football, DraftKings is giving new customers a can't-miss offer. Bet just $5 on any football game and get $200 in free bets instantly. Want more action for opening night? Everyone can experience the thrill of DraftKings early win promotion. Get up to 7, you win. Get up 7, you win bet of any NFL team of your choice. And if your team leads by 7 points at any point during the game, you get paid instantly, even if your team loses, like my football team will do over and over again. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code BWF, of course, for Bad Weather Fans. That's code BWF to get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's code BWF. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and over and physically present in New York. Bonus issued as free bets, 1 early win token issued at opt-in, moneyline bets only, deposit and wagering restrictions apply. Eligibility and terms at DraftKings.com/football terms. Gambling problem? Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. That's promo code BWF. We are super excited to have DraftKings, again, part of the Bad Weather Fan family. And of course, part of the Bad Weather Fan family is our guy Dolan J. Trump. I didn't wear the shirt today, Alex.
Yeah, no shirt for me either.
I don't even know how to show this.
I don't know.
Talking through there. I don't know if you can...
Vogelback shirt. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's
So
put it
really
over his head for those listening. Yeah.
Dolan,
and I'm rocking not a Dolan J. Trump, the Patrick Ewing champion jersey, original champion, size number 52 for those in the know. You know that's big? Legit. What?
Is that a big size?
It's a big size. Yeah. There was like 42, 48, 52. It was like weird numbers. But anyway, so over the past 4 years, Dolan J. Trump has delivered for Knicks fans like never before, appealing the triangle, rebuilding our depleted defense, and constructing the league's biggest salary cap space force. And now here's your chance to show your support for the MKGA movement with the official Dolan J. Trump line of merch. Visit DolanJTrump.com now for the hottest t-shirts and more designed personally by your favorite president. Plus, get 20% off your order when you use the promo code BWF for Bad Weather Fans. Visit DolanJTrump.com now and help make Knicks great again.
So we got a lot of good shit to offer people.
Mm-hmm.
Head on over to DraftKings. Links, of course, we'll get those in the show notes when available for all y'all. So check it out. Look good. Have fun with DraftKings. Alex.
Mike, big news. Markieff Morris, man, huh?
Yeah. Well, I'm excited about the signing. And all right, Nick. All right, Knicks fans. Last episode, we started with the Nets. I want to hear about the Knicks. All right.
No, this is the Knicks episode. Yeah. We're going to talk Nets. We'll talk Markieff Morris and everything.
I will always say, I truly believe to start the episodes based on what the news is.
The biggest story. Agreed.
And I promise you that is you might disagree at points, and especially after a game or something. That's fair.
That's just not Knicks fans that disagree. Nets fans disagree with that.
That's
too,
true.
sometimes.
That's
Yes,
true.
yes.
But clearly, the Woj tweet came in very late last night, Alex. And I wasn't.
Thank God we didn't record last night. That's the last. We would have been so screwed.
Hey, man,
we almost did.
You say this shit now, in about an hour, it's going to be like Donovan Mitchell is going to the Portland Trailblazers. No,
like
that would not
episode
happen.
133 at 1:00 in the morning.
Well, that did happen one time.
Yeah.
We brought this up. The only time that's ever happened was the Kyrie press conference.
That
No, not the Kyrie press. The Kyrie Instagram live.
Conference. Bizarre. Yeah. No. Also, it happened when we recorded, and then the Knicks hired Tibbs right after that, and we recorded the next day because the Knicks hired Tibbs, and within like 45 minutes, the Jets traded Jamal Adams, and we're like, we have to talk about both things tomorrorow. We did it 2 days in a row.
You're right. I did forget.
It was like the same
Jamal
day.
Adams things. We've been fucking doing this a long time now.
Yeah, man.
132
Pandemic.
episodes.
Yeah.
Which is once a
rocking.
Week. So that's
and
2
look at that
years
sponsor now. Look at that sponsor right down there. You know what I'm saying?
That's 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
All right, enough of the nostalgia.
Okay,
No one
RJ
gives a
Barrett.
shit.
Yes.
RJ Barrett.
He's
what
here.
do you think, Knick fan?
So where do I start, Mike?
Well, welcome to Bad with the Fans. Well, I'll ask Alex about RJ Barrett.
And I'll breathe.
I'm sure you're relieved.
I'm relieved, yes, but it's very weird. It's weird because the Knicks offered RJ Barrett to the Utah Jazz with 2 unprotected draft picks. That's confirmed by Shams. Jonathan Macri, I think he broke it on his newsletter. He said, give him credit, but Shams confirmed it. Everybody believes when Shams and Woj do it, that it's for real. And, regardless, whatever. And they offered RJ Barrett, Fournier, and 2 picks, and the Jazz wanted more. And that's my opinion about what happened is that, and I posted this on Twitter at Knicks Central. So let me get right to it. The Jazz wanted 4 unprotected picks for him, right? Knicks didn't want to trade that, so they offered RJ Barrett in a deal for less picks. When Ainge and the Jazz got stingy with the RJ package, Rose gave them a deadline. And the deadline passed, and they extended RJ, taking him off the table for Utah because of some poison pill, whatever that means. I don't know what that means, but it makes it a lot harder. So, listen to a different podcast to hear that stuff. And that is weird, man, because all this time we thought RJ was their guy. And I know hypothetically, if that deal goes through, I'd be a little annoyed to start. But like, where does that put the Knicks if you have Donovan Mitchell and you're just basically replacing Donovan Mitchell with RJ Barrett? Like, where does that put the Knicks with less picks? Like, you're nowhere. Where are you? The point is to pair the two. So like, what is going on? And it's very, very, very strange. And the Knicks need to make this trade for Donovan Mitchell just as bad as the Jazz need to trade Donovan Mitchell. There have been so many players available in this offseason, from DeJounte Murray to Malcolm Brogdon to even Rudy Gobert. I mean, the Knicks weren't going to get him, but there were so many good players available, and Donovan Mitchell, that the Knicks can't walk away from this offseason by punting on their lottery and ending up with Jalen Brunson and Isaiah Hartenstein and then not moving Julius Randle. They can't walk away from this offseason with nothing and just show up. And, it's just, they can't do that. And it's very frustrating. But I am happy that RJ is here and locked up for 4 years and he got his money and he looked very happy in those videos. But
I hope so.
I know, right? Imagine here's $100 million. Man, fuck this.
I don't need to be with the Knicks.
It's bizarre, man. It's just a bizarre situation, and I'm just fucking tired of it.
Well, I thought it was odd because then they're negotiating the idea that we're okay with trading him.
Yes.
And then 2 seconds later being like, we'll lock you up long term. And maybe that's just something that's more usual business than we realize that goes on. But it's just odd to be like, all right, here's the deadline. I'll be okay with trading said player. Once this deadline hits, this so-called deadline, then I will decide to lock him up and make him one of my key pieces for my franchise. But then at the same time, being so keen on being so okay with making a deal would show me a little bit like that management doesn't fully believe in RJ Barrett completely, or this is one big bluff and they never really were going to offer him. And they knew Danny Ainge would say no based on their timeline. It doesn't make sense. To me, it's one of those two. They're just bluffing and they knew Danny Ainge wouldn't want to do it. And then the deal wasn't good enough, or they don't really have the respect and the ultimate like true belief. I know they gave him a lot of money, so you could go, Mike. Hey, they did give him money, which is very true.
They gave him 4 instead of 5, though. They could have given him 5.
Wasn't there a reason they couldn't give him the 5th? Is there some rationale for that? I apologize.
Some salary cap reason. It's better for RJ in the long run anyway because he can cash in earlier. You know what I mean? But
unless he sucks at the end of the 4 years,
unless he sucks or gets hurt, God forbid, that would suck.
So I don't want that. But
yeah, but it's weird, man. It's just a weird situation, and we're at the point where. This whole time, the last 2 months, I was saying the Knicks need to get something done because something's going to go wrong. You know, another team can get involved. Other teams were involved. The Cavs were involved, but they walked away. It's just weird because there literally is no other team now. It's just the Knicks and the Jazz, and both teams need to make the trade. You know, the Knicks want to give 2 unprotected. The Jazz want 4. How about we meet in the middle in 3? It sounds so simple. You know, it sounds so simple. It seems like the Jazz like Grimes because he's younger than in years in the NBA than Obi and Quickly. But at the same time, man, just this could have been done a month and a half ago. It just feels that way. Like if the Knicks just offered the 4 unprotected picks I've been saying from the start, plus Quickly and Grimes or any of the 2 of the 3, this probably was done. And I just don't understand what we're waiting for now. And now we're at this point where the Knicks have to get this done. The Jazz have to get this done. Both teams are panicking right now. There's no way that the Knicks are sitting there like, oh, well, whatever. We're in the driver's seat. We got all the leverage. What fucking leverage do you have? You're going to show up with a bad team next year, and you could have gotten 3 all-stars. 4, 1 borderline all-star and 2 other all-stars, and it's just, and you show up with Jalen Brunson. I mean, he's a good player, but like, what the hell? What are we doing? Yeah. And you still have Julius Randle. Like, what's happening? Like, we wasted so much time. It
is true that I don't think there's really any other partners right now for the trade. And it could be as simple as just 2 guys that are incredibly egotistical and prideful, maybe is the better word.
Yep.
Don't want to make a deal. And Danny Ainge is sitting there going, I don't really give a shit. I'm going to wait. And Leon Rose is on the same side of things, is saying, I know eventually you have to crack. You can't have him come back in. And we are just at a stalemate, waiting for this deal to happen. I do believe, and you said it last week when I gave you the tough question, that it does happen at some point. It just has to. It just has to happen at this point where Donovan Mitchell is on the Knicks and the Utah Jazz go on their rebuild merry way. And that's just the way things are going to be. But it's definitely in a weird way, like, it's lost a lot of its buzz. Now, don't get me wrong. I do think when Donovan Mitchell, and I do think he will be, is traded to the Knicks, it will be a big fucking deal for Knicks fans and there'll be an excitement. But the way this has been dragged out for so long, it just, and not that this matters, I guess, because ultimately it'll be about wins and losses and how everybody performs on the court. But it does feel as if, like, when the trade happens, that it will be kind of like all right, thank God. Like, not this like, oh my God, we got Donovan Mitchell. I don't think it'll have that kind of reaction.
Yeah, it's going to be like, thank God it's over. Either way, at this point, and the unfortunate situation now with fans who have that reaction, which I do too now too. I just want it over with. I want Donovan Mitchell still a lot, of course, but, get the star, but at the same time, I'm so fucking tired of this, man.
Sure. We've been doing this a while.
Can this be over? It's been since, the Rudy Gobert trade happened, draft night, right? And then, July 1st, Woj puts out the tweet that they're going to retool around Donovan Mitchell and not trade him. Then all of a sudden the Knicks make all these moves on draft night. And now all of a sudden he's available. It's just, okay, well, obviously you made him available because you thought the Knicks would now pay up more. It's just exactly what Windhorst has been saying all summer. He's been nailing this, man, throughout the whole summer. And it's crazy that we're still here and he's not here. Our boy Buddha at Buddhalicious on Twitter, he literally, and he's been on this podcast before, he literally has been saying it's August 30th and he's still not a Knick every single day. It's August 27th. It's still not. I started tweeting it, but then I stopped because it was getting stupid. Every single day is August 30th right now. And he's still not a Knick. Every day that this goes by, it gets less and less likely that it's going to happen. And it's just crazy. But at this point, it has to happen. And at this point, it's leaning towards, it looks like it's going to be the Lakers involved. That's going to help this happen because, the reports came out that Ainge wants those 2 picks in the future because those Laker picks are going to be nice. Unless somehow Bronny James gets to the Lakers, LeBron's not going to be on the Lakers at the end of the 20s, so he wants that 27 and 29. I think it is the unprotected Lakers picks. And if he gets those 2 and then he gets 2 of the Knicks, then you got your 4 unprotected picks. Maybe the Lakers take on Fournier or something, or Clarkson, and just like we get all this stuff done and away we go.
Eventually it will happen, Alex. And you'll get that feeling of relief. I mean, I didn't think the Kevin Durant news would ever come to an end, but eventually all this stuff just has to happen and has to have a conclusion. It's just for you, obviously, super duper painful of waiting. And you asked earlier in the pod, you said, what would the Knicks be if they traded Donovan Mitchell for RJ Barrett and they didn't make any other moves? I'll tell you what they would be. They'd be Bradley Beal and the Wizards. Like, that's what they would be. Just like a star with a bunch of other guys running around, and they're in the playoffs, but like whatever.
What are we?
You and I have talked in long depth about RJ Barrett. I think at the very least he has to be on the roster because at least you can like see what happens. Once he's gone, that's over. But you need to see if he has a running mate. And if you're a Knicks fan, fingers crossed that RJ Barrett turns into an all-star. But if he's gone and it's just Mitchell, then I know we had Richard Jefferson on. That's like, you got to make that trade. But I see the side of it of wanting to pair as much talent as you can. Do other guys come eventually? Sure, la-di-da-da. But, here we are into September coming up, and Donovan Mitchell still not on the New York Knicks. It eventually it has to happen eventually.
At this point.
There's just no way we could go into training camp and he goes back to Utah and he's just there. I mean, it would be a strange optic, and it would not be as juicy as the Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving press conference that will happen. And then I'll have to say this, like, Leon Rose can't hide forever. If Donovan Mitchell isn't there and all those guys are put into media day, somebody's gonna have to say something, right?
Gonna have no media at media day. It's gonna be all season ticket holders, and they're gonna interview the players at the press. Honestly, it's crazy, but this is starting to feel like that Harden trade, man. The Harden to the Sixers trade, where it was just painful, drawn out for months.
I'm glad you brought that up. This is the biggest difference. And the
I'm just talking vibes here. I'm talking vibes of
no. But here's why it happened. There was a deadline. Okay, right. A real deadline. Not the
August 30th deadline.
Not the deadline that Knicks fans would celebrate. I was like, oh, good job,
genius
Leon
move.
Rose, putting a deadline down and
put
saying,
your foot down.
Here's something that there is no real deadline. Leon Rose could pick up the phone to Danny Ainge. It's not like this. Hi, this is Leon. Is Danny? Oh, fuck. I forgot the deadline passed. Damn it. We can't make the trade. Fuck. Hang up the phone. No, he picks up the phone and goes, hey, Danny, I got something for you. Let's make the deal. Because there is no deadline, we're going into this space-time continuum forever. The deadline is when camp starts, because then shit gets awkward.
Right.
With the Harden deal, there was a deadline, whatever it was, Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern, where if they don't pick up the phone and make this trade, like both teams are like, the Nets are stuck. So Sean Marks had a real deadline to work with, not the fake one that the Knicks made up.
That's true. That's very true. It's just going to suck because at this point, if the trade happens, right? Well, let's talk in terms of it's going to happen, right? So the trade's going to happen. And let's say it includes the Lakers in it, right? And it's so hard to even do this because you don't know what's going to happen and who's being discussed. But let's say, but you got to assume everybody's on the table, because RJ Barrett was in the deal. So everybody's on the table in the Knicks. Let's just say you get Donovan Mitchell, you lose a couple guys, right? You are patching together a roster now, days before training camp, trying to sign players and bring them in. You're going to bring Jamal Crawford in or something. You're going to like guys like that are going to show up. You know what I mean? Not him exactly. Yeah. Oh, fuck, man. No, thank you. That's another conversation.
See, I love him as a net, but I see it's a totally different.
Take him, please. Take him. I don't give a shit. But that's another conversation. So it's going to be like some patchwork. Thank you for bringing up Melo. first 2 years of Melo season where you made this crazy fucking trade you in the middle of the season and you had to waste a half a year, then you wasted another offseason trying to get players, you had whatever. It was just a big mess. And then when you finally put it together, it was too late because you already made so many mistakes. You know what I mean? You have to be ready when you make these trades. It's part of why I didn't want Durant 2 years ago after he tore his Achilles, because 3 years ago and tore his Achilles, because I knew you were going to waste the season and then things are going to get weird, So it's just, you have to get this, and everybody has to be on the same page. That first year has to be exciting and you have to all be all in, and you have to have the team ready to rock. You can't patch it together at the last minute, especially with a coach like Tibbs, who just needs to mold his team and it's just like, he's like this weird control freak. What is going on, man? And that's what I'm saying. Like, it has to get done. It has to get done as soon as possible. Like this week, I can't
believe things are going to start up again. I mean, we've done a lot of episodes here on Bad Weather Fan over the summer. And I will say, for most summers, there's like nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
But I would say, because of obviously the others with the Kevin Durant and all that mess, and Kyrie Irving, and now with Donovan Mitchell, it's almost been like, I think it's hard to get a grasp on what the reality of the length of the offseason is. And this is something I felt as a Nets fan. And now I'm finally feeling it for like a split second. When the Nets lost to the Celtics, embarrassing, swept 4-0, it was like, okay, this is over. I want to put this all behind me. I want to just have a couple months mentally off from the Nets. Of course, we'll do Bad Weather Fans. We'll talk all things content. I'm not saying we would take it off, but this idea of like being stressed out is maybe the better word about your team. Yeah. And then the Kevin Durant news dropped, and the whole season, off season, was almost more stressful than the season.
It was.
So there was never a point to just kind of be like, okay, it sucked, but we got Ben Simmons coming back. All right, I like the TJ Warren sign. Okay, Royce O'Neal's a good fit, and just like go in that direction. Finally, when the Kevin Durant news broke, and I said this, it was like this sense of relief where I could be like, the off season. And Knick fans, it's exciting wanting Donovan Mitchell, but it's been like, okay, I guess the season ended and there was maybe the Nets only went one more week or 10 more days than the Knicks. So it's not like it was that great.
Yeah, we all laughed at the Nets getting swept.
Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah,
right.
Moment.
Okay,
Congratulations.
Finals game, whatever.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, we run New York.
Get me to the offseason, every Knick fan. Let's go. Let's change it. Let's get some guys.
There's 42 Net fans. We run New York. I went outside. I saw a Charles Oakley jersey. I've never seen a Net jersey. We run New York. Hey, did I mention we run New York? But for the Knick fan, it's just been, now you're in this extension of like, it's an off season, but not really. It's more stress.
You know what's funny? Let's say you went on vacation after the NBA finals and you went to like Tahiti or even like Fiji. Let's say Fiji, like because of the Truman Show, right? Let's say you went to Fiji, you had no cell phone, no internet, nothing. You came back at the end of the summer, and like September 1st, tomorrow, when you're listening to this, or whenever it is, whenever September 1st is,
right.
2 days, you're like, so what happened? Oh, well, Kyrie and Durant are here. We signed Markieff Morris and we traded for Royce O'Neal. You're like, okay, so
TJ Warren signed. Yeah, okay.
The Knicks are like, oh, well, we got Jalen Brunson. Like, okay, cool. And that's it. Yeah. Well, Randall's back. Yeah. Okay. And nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened. So it just shows how you get sucked into this shit nowadays. And it just shows that there's also no secrets in the NBA. That's the other point I wanted to bring up. There is no secrets in the NBA anymore. In all sports in general, there is absolutely no secrets. You can't hide. The idea that you can raise value of a player by saying you want to trade a player, or raise value by showcasing, quote unquote, a player in the NBA season is bullshit. This isn't 1997. This isn't even 2004. Oh, look at his stats. He averaged 17 points a game towards the end of the year. Yeah. Okay. Well, we know what the drama was. We're on Twitter too. We know what's happening. It's just, it needs to end, and it needs to end now, because I can't take it anymore. Knicks fans can't take it anymore. Mike can't take it anymore. Nobody can take it anymore. We're just tired of this shit. It's just, we need something else to talk about, and it's cool. RJ got extended. We got a new point, but whatever.
I like watching your stress a little bit. With this.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate
this
that.
doesn't, but yeah, I hear from your end. This has kind of been like a Seinfeld episode, just a lot of nothing, but they still filled 7 seasons and won a shit ton of Emmys, but like nothing ever happened.
Yeah. It's like an episode of Friends where they never leave the apartment and they're just doing some dumb shit going back and forth across the hall and something. It's like one of those kind of episodes where they're like budgeting, save money, and they don't do anything.
I know for you, there will be, and in the NFL season, I know you're hoping a lot will happen. You're a Jets fan, I'm a Giants fan, and but I want to make the point as I'm trying to do a segue here. We'll see if it works. Football season, though, Alex, is around the corner.
It is. Football season is around the corner. And if you are into betting on football, the wait is almost over. A new football season is about to begin. Get ready for the NFL Week 1 action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. To celebrate the return of football, DraftKings is giving new customers a can't-miss offer. Bet just $5 on any football game and get $200 in free bets instantly. Want more action for opening night? Everyone can experience the thrill of DraftKings early win promotion. Get up to 7, you win. Get up 7 points, you win. Bet on any NFL team of your choice, and if your team leads by 7 points at any point during the game, you get paid instantly, even if your team loses. So all you have to do is get up 7 points in the game. That's incredible. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code BWF for Bad Weather Fans. That's BWF to get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's code BWF only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and older and physically present in New York. Bonus issued as free bets. 1 early win token issued at opt-in moneyline bets only. Deposit and wagering restrictions apply. Eligibility and terms at DraftKings.com/football terms. Gambling problem? Call 877-8-HOPE-NY. That's 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to that's 467-369. So, Mike, big news for the Nets. They signed Markieff Morris.
Yeah,
had some toughness.
Toughness, but I'm excited. But I actually, that bores me for a minute, and I want to ask you: do you think Carmelo Anthony would be a good fit on the Brooklyn Nets?
Yes.
Why?
Because I don't want him to sign with the Knicks.
Is that the only answer?
No, that's not the only answer. The real answer is yes, I do, because I think Melo, while he can't be relied upon to, do the things that Melo never did, like play defense or hustle consistently, he can give you that night where he's going to get hot and he's going to drop 15. He's going to drop 17. He can give you a little toughness as well. He's been around the block, and he loves New York. He's from Brooklyn. You know what I mean? He's just that kind of guy that you would want around for a team like the Nets, who are ready to rock. Hopefully, that you think
they're ready to rock. The Nets, Alex, right now, their shooting is so good, right? With Curry, Joe Harris.
Forgot about Curry.
Kyrie.
Forget about Curry.
Patty Mills is their third stringer. I mean, the Nets are deep. I do like the signing of Morris. I mean, he gives them that toughness. He can stretch the floor at this point and, can knock down a 3 if you leave him open. And the idea, I think, for the Nets now is they're really signing guys that are more of that 3-and-D mentality. TJ Warren, Royce O'Neal, who did have his poor moments in the playoffs for the Utah Jazz, but for the Nets, he'll fill a nice role for them. And that's what they're going with. But the thing about this Nets team, dude, is they have so many question marks and so many guys that have so much to prove. Like TJ Warren hasn't played. We know he can score. Kyrie Irving is Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, Ben Simmons, Joe Harris coming off 2 ankle surgeries. I mean, they have so much to prove that it's going to be a wild ride with them. I like the signing of Morris. It feels like the right signing for them. I'm not going to get it's hard to throw a parade about these things. I mean, people were excited last year when Millsap got signed and James Johnson, and that ended up being a disaster. I think the Nets have a trade in them. Their roster feels a little redundant. Now, you might say you could never have enough shooting, but I don't think you need Curry, Harris, and Patty Mills. I think one of them could be expendable to get the right other piece, a big. I think that's the right. I wouldn't be shocked if I see one of those guys dealt, and you get another big on this roster. or you get someone else.
Why didn't they just keep Drummond? Let me ask you that. They just had enough of him.
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I don't. He was awful against the Celtics.
I know, but like, what are you going to get that's better than him right now? You know what I mean? You're going to get like
I don't know. It just feels a
Lance
little.
Thomas?
No, I'm talking about like a legit
kidding,
center.
yeah.
It feels a little. It just feels a little redundant to me with this Nets roster.
Well, I guess DeMarcus Cousins is out there still, right? I guess you can get him.
Cousins is out there. I mean, these
What
guys
is he
all
though?
stink
Yeah,
now.
he's done. He's done.
I mean, that's the problem. I mean, Dwight Howard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just the same names of rotating same names back and forth. Like, let's do DeAndre Jordan again for the hell of it.
Right. You
Why
might as
not?
well.
Let's just see what DeAndre Jordan
make
looks like.
Durant
Bring him
happy.
back. Bring him back. Let's bring back DeAndre Jordan. Let's do that. I mean, but somebody said this, like, centers are like running backs in the NFL. There's just so many. Nobody's better than anybody unless you've got Joel Embiid.
Or Joker. Yeah.
Yeah, right. There's like a couple great guys, but
And
other
Mitchell
than
Robinson.
that,
Yeah, no.
no, I would disagree on that.
I'm
with
kidding.
Mitchell Robinson. No, you were not kidding.
I'm
Your love
kidding.
affair with Mitchell Robinson. Not
I think he can be really good, maybe all defense one day, but
congratulations, all
Yeah.
defense. Mitchell Robinson,
But he's not-
stinks.
No,
I'm just
stop
trying
it.
I'm trying to instigate now.
Yeah,
Like,
we don't fake debates on the show like other people. We're just teasing each other. If
Have we
Mike and
ever
I
faked
disagree, if we ever disagree, we actually disagree. If we ever yell at each other, we're actually yelling at each other. It's not like,
Yeah.
you know,
We need a
TV
good
talk
yelling.
shows.
We need a good yell session.
Yeah,
Is
I
there-
guess so.
I mean,
guess so.
yeah. I mean,
I don't know. What can I start? You know, Kenyon Martin wasn't any good. Yeah.
Yeah,
just get
but
you really mad.
don't you go there. Don't you go there. Yeah, no,
Anyway.
I don't think there's anything on that front. And I also will say, yeah, I think it'd be fun to have Melo on the Nets. I
I think so too. I think so
can't
too.
get like nitty gritty. I mean, respect everybody that can do this, but like they put the rosters together and they're like, hey, you can't sign Carmelo because he has the same skill set as TJ Warren, and if you put him there, it won't work. And you know, there was a 32% 3-point rate. You know, I don't know if I can do that.
Mhm.
But I can just say from like, you know, the eye test and like his pedigree, obviously he's not the same player. He had some moments in the Lakers, they stunk. But I just know, you know, he's a guy that can score. He's more reliable to hit. Like I would say this to Net fans. When he's in the corner, at least you think it can go in, as opposed to last year where guys were just like, you knew with like James Johnson, there was just no chance. You just knew watching him. It's like watching Dolan J. Trump shoot. You're like, it's not going in.
Yeah, and we never even seen him play, but we know that it's not going to go in. But it's funny because you say like maybe we have too many of the same guy, maybe too many, but you have to go into a net season. We talked about this, not being cocky. You guys are there's a good chance Durant's hurt for 2 months. There's a good chance Kyrie disappears. There's a good chance a lot goes down, not to mention just normal wear and tear of an NBA season and regular injuries. You're going to need these guys.
Sure, I agree.
Yeah. Yes, you should add a big. And I was just pulling up the bigs that are available still are like you can get Enes Kanter Freedom, Hassan Whiteside.
Ennis.
I'm sorry, Ennis, whatever.
No, that bothers me. You got to get named.
Enes. Yeah,
Ennis.
DeMarcus Cousins, Moses Brown.
Well, I'm saying
New
in a
Yorker.
trade. I'm saying in a trade if there's something available. I don't know.
But there
I'm
are
just
some
throwing
guys
that
out there, man. There's some big guys. You can bring back Ed Davis also if you want.
Yeah.
Tristan Thompson.
Tristan Thompson is awful.
I know. I'm just giving
good.
guys that can rebound.
If this was
Tristan's a mess. He's a mess anyway. He's got his own
this
shit
was
going on.
2014. Like, this is a loaded list.
Right.
This is
Dwight
a
Howard,
loaded
Tristan
list.
Thompson, DeMarcus Cousins, Hassan Whiteside.
If this is Bad Weather Fans episode 12,
Minus
it's a better
15,
list.
it would be even better too, right? And
Yeah,
Blake Griffin,
Bad
you can bring
it's
back too. Paul
Bad Weather
Millsap again.
Fans negative 176. Bad Weather Fans negative 502. Dwight Howard's the MVP.
Yeah, there's not a lot of guys left, and this is part of my problem with the Knicks before. It's like you did all this crap, and now what the hell is your team if you make the trade and you got the like you can't even patch it together because everybody's gone. Even Markieff Morris is gone too now. You know what I mean? Like what the hell is left? There's nothing left.
You are right though about the idea of like with the Nets, and I'll counteract my point here. You know, Joe Harris coming off 2 ankle surgeries. You want to make sure you have that depth. Seth Curry coming off the surgery as well. Ben Simmons coming off back surgery. I mean, basically, if you're not coming off surgery with the Nets, you're not doing something right.
But you know who's available that you could sign? That'd be a good point guard just to add to your roster.
Is this a sarcastic remark?
Elfrid Payton. man. He's out there.
He is
He's
available.
good.
I like him. I give defense. I mean, the last time he had a full season in New York, that team went to the playoffs.
It's true.
True.
So is Dennis Smith Jr. You can get him too if you want. He's out there as well. Yeah. What happened
Man,
to
it
him, man? I
recycles
feel
quick.
bad for him at this point. I used to get on Dennis Smith Jr. because he was like, he was anointed as the next guy, and like, how can the Knicks pass on him? You know,
And then he was a Knick.
and then he became a Knick. Exactly. Like, how can you pass on him for Frank Ntilikina? Meanwhile, the guy that you passed on was really Donovan Mitchell. Bring it full circle. That's the guy. But nobody thought that was going to be the guy. And that's why he dropped to like whatever he dropped to in the draft. I forgot Donovan Mitchell and somewhere in the 10s. So anyway, that sucks. So yeah, the Nets don't really have a lot of options right now, and like neither do the Knicks to add to the final 15, 12. So I feel like this trade for the Knicks needs to be a 3-team deal, and the Knicks need to get a veteran back as well. And I feel like the Nets might need to make another move, like you said, just to get another body. And again, I don't understand why they didn't just bring Drummond back, but maybe they hated him. So who knows? Maybe he was the cause of all the problems last year, Mike. Maybe that was it. Now that Drummond's gone, everything's going to be better.
I don't know the answer. I'm sure there's Net fans listening to this, and they will tweet at me.
Yes.
The reason they didn't bring
Tweety
Drummond
Bird
back
will
was
tweet at you.
Tweety Bird is fascinating. First of all, he's a great Nets fan, and
he busts chops. I get it.
He busts chops, but he also
he or she, we don't know.
He or she,
girl. Yeah.
but it will also call it like it is with the Nets at moments. But I love Tweety Bird's disdain for the Knicks.
By the way, we're talking to people that don't know who Tweety Bird is. We're talking about an account that's a Nets burner account that's like Nets Tweety Bird or something like the cartoon. So it's like just always trashing me in my mentions, and Mike loves it. And
but you take it too with laugh.
I don't care.
I don't. How can I know it's because you know that he likes the show too, and it's just a joke.
Right. I don't care, and I don't take any of that stuff seriously. There's just one account that's been trolling me lately that thinks it's getting to me. Is this the real Mike Trout? That's just a picture of a cat.
That's me. That's my burner account.
Mike Trout,
kitty cat.
And it's like people are like responding. I'm like, dude, you're responding to a cat that's saying that they're Mike Trout. Like, why are you responding to this account?
It's a great account.
You know, so
that's my burner account. Maybe that's Kevin
Twitter.
Durant. You've probably at some point in your life interacted with his burner and didn't even realize.
Probably. I got an email once that I was interacting with Russian bots that at some point when it was like this arguing politics, 5, 6, 7 years ago when Trump was running, whenever that was, that they sent me an email, be like, these accounts that you were interacting with were actually, they didn't say Russian bots, but they said they were actually whatever. I don't want to get into that conversation, but it's crazy, man. You never know who you're talking to out there because they're out there, man. These players are out there. Even the ones who are saying that they're not active on social media, they have accounts, man. They're listening to everything. They're checking at halftime. They know what's going on. These guys have grown up in the world with technology. They're not like their 30. It's not like 10 years ago where a guy's 35 years old and they're like, man, what are you talking? Like Tracy McGrady when he had him on, he's like, dude, I never paid attention to that crap. No. I have a Twitter account. Somebody runs it for me. I don't know what the hell's going on. He's looking at, and you think he's on there at halftime? No, he's focused on the game. But these guys, like you see Devin Booker halftime, he's definitely checking his Twitter. That's what these guys do. Kyrie, Durant, all of them.
I mean, so. I've checked. I check my Twitter at halftimes on my rec league games. Got to see. Well, that's probably because I just want to see if there's any trades.
Yeah, you traded?
No, not the NBA trades. Yeah, that is a weird thought though. But it's just people are human beings. But yes, the Tweety is. I love how he just has these reactions to Knick fans. Yeah, he had an interaction today. Some of this stuff is just so. It's just like typical Knick fans being Knick fans. Like, oh, congratulations, RJ Barrett signed a long-term deal. Like, oh, we're celebrating the first time since Charlie Ward. It's just.
You know what else I wanted to bring up, Mike?
No.
People on the radio, sports radio people who all of a sudden are forced to talk about the Knicks today, about RJ Barrett. There was no Mets the day before. They had the Yankees, but that game wasn't very exciting. So like you have to talk about RJ Barrett as the biggest story. And they within 5 minutes, I can tell they have no idea what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah.
And it drives me crazy.
I bet.
It's like, why are these people getting paid this much money to be on the radio and they have no idea what the hell they're talking about? I don't want to go down this road, but it drives me crazy.
It's because the Knicks aren't often talked about. So then when they are
in detail,
you can't, right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the Knicks were talked about a lot. Unfortunately, the Nets are talked about a lot more, but it's not.
It's not game to game
sports.
stuff. It's not game to game
No, it's not
rotation talk. It's like,
no,
where did Kyrie go?
It's
You know,
awful.
things like that.
It's
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
It's the stuff you don't want to deal with.
But
So
it drives me crazy. And it's why people listen to podcasts now, because they know that you're not going to get the content that you need on the freaking radio when it comes to basketball.
Oh no, there is a niche for it. And I'll give a plug to the Toxic Boys, who are a Knicks group of 4 podcast, and like
name them. Papa Left, Jay from Florida,
don't put me on
Big
the
Mo,
spot there.
Ari,
You
the
name
4 of
me.
them. Yes.
I don't remember exactly. I know them, but I don't have the names memorized. The point I'm trying to make is they said something in their opening monologue that I thought was interesting. Was
I didn't catch
for
that.
all content creators to embrace each other and embrace the other content creators, and we all bring something different. We all bring something special, and not to argue and debate with each other, but not to minimize everybody. And I thought that was a really important statement to make. And it just circling back to what you're saying is there's not as much, at least in this area. I can't speak for other markets. I can only speak for the New York market, but it's not talked about as much. So I think in a positive way, it frustrates you. But at the same time, I'd remind you that opens an avenue where people are craving Nets and Knicks news. So they might go to the Toxic Boys. Or they might go to the Glue Guys or whatever other net podcasts.
Right.
And so from that, it creates opening avenues for people, and it creates opportunities for people, which are cool. And I think in particular in the basketball lane, because the Knicks aren't talked about as much as I think they should be. And
in
the
detail,
Nets,
like we said,
right, and the Nets don't even try. Like, if it's not this mess with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, you're not going to get a regular season game. It's not even going to happen. So Nets fans, even more in a lot of ways, the true diehard Net fan is so hungry for basketball content that they're looking for that. So I know it's a negative, but I'll try to give you a positive from your experience.
Yeah, it's just frustrating because, let's say both the Jets and Giants are combined, 4-15, I don't know the math. Let's say November, right? They're both terrible, like they've been. And it's the end of November, mid-November. We should be breaking down Knicks and Nets games on the radio, or even hockey games, but like more Knicks and Nets, because I feel like basketball's bigger in New York. And they're not. Did you see the Monday night game when Lamar Jackson just spun on somebody and jumped over this guy's head and scored a touchdown? Let's talk about that for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
I don't, I don't know.
So,
I never worked in local sports radio, so I can't go into details because there's like rating books and all that stuff.
Yeah, you did more national stuff.
I only did national stuff. I never did. Right. I did local sports radio. That was in Charlottesville, Virginia. And we talked about UVA basketball and UVA football.
Right.
And it was super niche. I mean, it was like, and then we would talk Redskins, Ravens a little bit, like kind of the surrounding area there. And that was really it. I mean, and then many big national stories. So I don't really know the local side of things. I can see from a national perspective, like the Nets sell well for obvious reasons. There's nothing, the Knicks sell when it's just like negativity about them, but there's nothing really interesting to say. Like from a Nationals perspective, who cares that RJ Barrett re-signed? It's meaningless. I don't think anybody would care outside of the New York market. I guess what I'm kind of dancing around your question, but I don't know if the Jets at 2-8 talking about how bad they are, even though it's the same conversation and a broken record, if that's more interesting to people than talking about the Knicks who started the year 11-8 and RJ Barrett looks like an all-star. I don't know.
Yeah. It's weird, man. And it's just annoying, but you know what? It's worked for us.
Yeah.
And that's why we have this sponsor on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, DraftKings, because people want to hear this kind of stuff and that stuff. We talk other sports too. But like you said, this summer, when we would usually be interviewing people like Alyssa Rose, Connor Hughes, Mo Moten, talking football, talking baseball, talking different sports, we're kind of stuck with this Knicks and Nets stuff, which is great. This is why you guys are here, and it's great for the podcast, but it's kind of excruciating as a fan.
I get trust me. Yeah. Trust me, I get that. I
need a break,
No, but I think that's what's the cool part
Mhm.
about podcasts and the niche-ness of them. Like, for example, Showtime has a podcast, basketball podcast out. It is about called The Lost NBA Seasons.
Mhm.
And I'm excited to dive into this episode as I'll listen as a fan. It's an interview with Kenyon Martin, and it's just about the 2002 Nets. Like, holy shit.
So specific. Yeah,
I told
that's
my wife, I
your
was like, this
life.
podcast was like made for me. It was like, Mike, pick a podcast to be created of one episode where you want. I'd be like, I'd like to hear Kenyon talk about the '02 season. Like, here it is. I mean, but
Yeah.
that's what's cool about podcasts, and you can't do that on the radio because if, let's say, even you had that interview, a lot of people might not care, but this is targeting to an audience, which is what we do, which is, now I'll get real philosophical on you, which I think is really fascinating too, about having a Knick fan and a Net fan together to do a podcast, because there could be times when, like, shit, the Net fans, like the Knick talk, but I think, building a New York community of
Right.
basketball, I know, Buddha, the Nets are New Jersey's team. I get it. I know the joke's coming, but building a community of New York basketball is what we have done, where you get this like umbrella where if you want to hear that, that's the niche that you're getting, which I do think is very unique though at the same time. And all the respect in the world to a Knick podcaster or a Net podcaster, as you yawn at my declarative statement.
It wasn't at you. Yeah, it was. I covered
Yeah.
it well. I mean, you didn't have to blow it up.
Well, it's on the video. People are going to see that, watch and subscribe. We've created a unique niche here, which I think is interesting. I didn't know I was going to get all philosophical on you, but you're bringing up, sports
making
talk
it deep.
radio when you're listening. And what didn't you like about the RJ Barrett opinion? What bothered you? What was it?
Just I can't remember what it was exactly, but it was just it's just the same old regurgitated stuff. And I'm not even talking about the Stephen A crap. I'm talking about like actual sports talk radio locally. Like you can tell, just bring it. Like I don't remember what it was. I really wish I could. It was so early in the
No
morning.
problem.
I don't remember. But it's just that kind of crap. It's just that it's like, I don't know how good this guy is, and is he going to do this? And well, you should just bring back Tibbs. It's just like, what are you talking? Like, are you even paying attention? You know what I mean? Like, it's just it's just. I know it's the summertime, so you got a lot of people on that aren't usually on. So I get that,
Well,
but
there's a number one way, and this is, I will take this as gospel, is the way to know your team. There's only one way to do it. You have to watch the games.
Yeah.
If you watch the games, maybe I'll disagree with your opinion, but for the most part, if you watch them, like, you have a different eye, and it's just the truth. You just can't, you'll know right away if somebody watches Net games religiously. And I'm not saying you have to watch every single second. I get that. I hear you. And a lot of,
yeah.
right. I get that. That's not my point.
Especially
But
baseball.
you know what
How
I'm
can you watch
talking
every
about.
pitch
But
of
I'm
every
saying,
game?
if someone's talking Knicks and you're like, you didn't watch last year. I know you didn't watch these games last year. I know you didn't. And you can tell if you did and you didn't. And what happens is football lull, Mets and Yankees off, RJ Barrett news. You can't not talk about it because it's here. And then you get exposed.
Yeah. And it's frustrating. And I was thinking about what you were saying. Your niche podcast is this one with Kenyon Martin coming out. Can you guess what mine would be? My year of
basketball.
all three teams. No, it's give you a hint. It's not basketball.
Well, I
it's
think
not
that
basketball.
gave it away. Of like what you'd want to hear about.
Yeah. So a Jets or Mets season that I would want to hear about the most in a podcast. Jets or Mets, because
like from a certain player too. Like it's, if it was the Mets, it's like, I got to hear Edgardo Alfonso talk about. Well, it's definitely a Rex year going to an AFC championship.
No, it's not.
Is it? What is it?
98 Jets, the 12-4 year when they went to the AFC championship game in 98.
I said that.
No, you said Rex.
Oh, well,
Parcells, the
Rex.
Parcells.
Okay,
Yeah,
but I said it would be an
Rex.
AFC championship.
Yeah,
at least I got that part right.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's that Parcells year because that was like my primes. I was in 9th grade. Jet season ticket holder, going to every game. My whole entire elementary school life, my whole life up to that, the year before in 97, they were good. My whole entire life leading up to that, the Jets were a joke. And I'm getting with Rich Kotite and Coslet, and I'm leading into that. And then 98 hits, and holy shit, I never experienced anything like that in my life up to that point with the Jets. I mean, the Knicks were just a powerhouse at that point, so I'm so used to them winning. You know what I mean? So just the Jets, like, holy crap. And
who's the player
that year? Curtis Martin would be the player. Curtis Martin or Vinny Testaverde, either one, maybe the two of them together doing a podcast on that. That would be really, really interesting. Or Aaron Glenn, who's a big up and coming coach on the Detroit Lions, the cornerback.
Man, you're having such a moment, but I'm saying if it's Curtis Martin, it would just have to be like a Jet mercenary, talking about that year, because he's not a homegrown guy.
Yeah, but they got him early enough that he's a Jet. They got him early. Okay. It's funny. I went to the Hall of Fame. Last random story before we end this. I went to the Hall of Fame in Canton. I went to a wedding in Columbus, so we stopped in Canton on the way. And there's a whole Curtis Martin just got elected like 2-3 years before that, and I went and took a picture by his bust. I took a picture by a few busts, like Deion Sanders, whatever. That whole room with just a bunch of heads. It's like really weird.
Yeah.
And then there's like an artifacts area, and there's a locker with all Curtis Martin stuff. And it was like one side was like Patriot stuff, and then this Jet stuff. You have his Pittsburgh helmet, and college. And I stood in front of the Patriot stuff, and I took a picture with like just seeing the Jet stuff. I was like covering up all this like Patriots crap over here. Let's act like that era didn't happen for Curtis Martin. Yeah. He went to a Super Bowl with them, but let's just act like that didn't happen.
I think it's funny too, that this is bringing it back to radio stuff. Like I said, okay, 2002, Kenyon, you said 98, Curtis Martin. This is another way of saying, what was your favorite team year and the player on it? Well, but it's like an old radio trick. Like we used to do. I did a show called Taz and Moose, and we did a thing called Bench Cut Start. It was like, who would you bench? Who would you cut? Who would you start? And basically, it's like, who's first best? Who's second best? Who's third best?
Yeah.
Which was another iteration of fuck, marry, kill, which was like a more appropriate way of saying it. But I don't know. This all makes me think of all this radio stuff. But I'm glad you had a good time at the Hall.
Yeah, thanks. My Mets year is definitely Jose Reyes in 2006. It sucked that didn't work out, but Jose Reyes was my guy. I love Piazza and that 2000 team with Bobby Valentine and everything, but 06 was like, oh man, that was my squad. That was my squad.
Yeah, and they blew it.
Yeah, they did. 2 years in a row, blew it.
Yeah.
After 06, 2 years in a row, they blew it. Couldn't even make it.
Watch Game 7 with Al Groh.
What?
I said I watched Game 7 of Mets Cardinals and I was with Al Groh.
I thought you said that, but I was just like, wait. Like, did you just say Al Groh?
I did, Al Groh. I was doing UVA.
Former Jets head coach Al Groh. They got fired after 1 year, blowing it week 17. That 1 year.
It was a Thursday night, Virginia versus North Carolina. Of course, it was the one time UVA in the last 100 years was on fucking Thursday. And I had to do the sidelines because I was trying to get my foot in the door to get more work. So I would run the scripts to like crew members. And then at the end, we were in the press conference where you had to hold the boom mic so you could hear Coach Groh. And I'm watching Carlos Beltran strike out as I'm holding the boom mic for fucking.
Did you yell shit?
No, I kept it professional. I also remember from that experience during timeouts, Aaron Andrews, diehard Cardinals fan, would run over to this little TV monitor that was on the side. And during timeouts, because I guess she was working for ESPN at the time, would watch the Cardinals game. So I'd run over to this little TV and Aaron Andrews would run over to this little TV. She's rooting for the Cardinals. I'm rooting for the Mets. I'll never forget that.
That's crazy. You watched the Mets Cardinals NLCS 2006 with Aaron Andrews and on a little tube TV.
Pretty much.
That's amazing. Crazy, and in 2006, I was visiting my obviously my ex-girlfriend. I'm married now, happily. And I was watching it with her in her dorm room. And when he struck out, I started throwing things. I was like, that's it. After all that, it's fucking over. I'm like, I lost it. Like, I've never lost it like that. I've broken down in tears before when my teams have lost when I was a kid, the fake spike game or the Ewing finger roll. Like, I've like broken down. I never got physically angry, more angry than Beltran striking out looking.
Is that the worst loss of the sports pain you've ever felt?
Ewing finger roll, fake spike, and Beltran strikeout. All three teams. Those three teams.
We'll do the Mount Rushmore of despair.
Or the countdown, the fuck, marry, kill.
Yeah, bench cat star. Which one you got? No, which one's the worst?
The worst one, I think, has got to be the first one, which is the fake spike. I think the fake spike is the first one. I think that came first before the Ewing finger roll. The Ewing finger roll was tough also because that was a year they could have actually, it's always the year they could have possibly won when they lose like that, but then, the Beltran thing was tough because when the Mets lost that in 06, there was a legit chance they were going to win the World Series.
The Tigers weren't great.
And yeah, the Cardinals, I think, swept that series.
I think so too,
and they
yeah.
weren't even that good. They were a wild card team, right? I think, I don't remember. I kind of washed away the memories of that. So, that was tough because they actually could have won it all.
Do you do this when
Doug Bryan game also, Jets Doug Bryan game, that hurt too, but I don't know if they could have won that year.
I did this with the Durant game versus the Bucks when he airballed the final shot and it was over. Is sometimes I look around and I go, maybe that didn't happen. Like there's
is this
time
real?
left.
Is this real?
And then it starts to sink in. This is over.
Right.
Like this is done. Not happening again.
Yeah.
But I always kind of it takes a
Mhm.
few seconds to believe it. I don't know what it is. I can't just be pained in the moment. It's like depression. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Oh no. I don't know. It just takes a minute to click.
Well, as adults, we've been through enough heartache in sports where you could process it a little better and you could keep it in the proper perspective that we're adults, you have family, you have
there's serious, major
that
things in your life,
more important. But in our sports prime, in middle school, high school, late elementary school, where you really understand what's going on and you get that first real heartbreak, first real few heartbreaks, you're just like, oh my God, fuck.
yeah.
I still feel that now, but I'm able to go to work the next day and be like, all right, well, that sucked. We'll listen to music all day. I can't listen to any sports, so
I guess my first real heartbreak would then probably be with some of those Mets teams in the late 90s that probably the Braves.
Ugh.
Losing to the Braves in 6. That's probably the first time I felt sports heartbreak. Giants losing in the Super Bowl to the Ravens. That's another one. But
well, that's what made that Todd Pratt walk off so great because they didn't have to face the Braves that year, and then the fans are in the stands when the Braves lost doing the chop. Oh, everybody's doing it, and then Pratt hits the homer, and we're all going crazy. So that was cool. But you know what? That's the point, is that all the heartache brings you that moment. Being a sports fan sucks. You're miserable 99% of your life, unless you're a Patriots fan. 99% of your life, you're miserable until you get that one shining moment. Hopefully we get it, or just some great moments. That's all. So get Donovan Mitchell so we can have a chance at some great moments.
Let's see Ben Simmons just kick some ass and have a good back.
Yes.
That I do just hate that jersey.
Patrick Ewing. That's what I was just showing.
That one doesn't bother me, but it's the logo. It's more the logo. It's
just the New York part, right?
It doesn't bother me as much, but it's the Knicks logo.
Yeah.
It's just I need to see a therapist about the logo. What is it about this thing that bothers you? Where do I start?
Not this logo, the DraftKings Sportsbook logo.
Oh, that's
which
cool.
Sponsored by.
And of course, use promo code BADWeatherFans and get hooked up through us. I do want to mention, if you're listening on Apple, please go ahead and follow the show. If you go into the app, click on the pod, upper right hand corner, you'll see a plus sign. Just click that. From there, you follow the show. You get all the latest episodes. You don't have to find us. We will find you. And of course, if you're listening and watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. We're putting out a lot of great videos besides the full Bad Weather Fans podcast. You also get little clippets if you want to get to the Nets section, to the Knicks section, and some of our great guests. If you want to watch those interviews, like Kerry Kittles, Richard Jefferson, Chris Childs, and Hall of Famer Tracy McGrady, you can find all that on YouTube as well.
Yeah, we're everywhere. We're everywhere. And use promo code BWF on DraftKings Sportsbook if you want to get some special deals and 20% off at DolanJTrump.com. If you want to get 20% off all your.
We'll see
clothing.
next week if we have some action with Donovan Mitchell. Right now we don't. RJ Barrett extension. The Nets in normalcy for a little bit. There's nothing bad to report. It's all just speculation and opinions. and I'm cool with that. This has been Bad Weather Fans, episode 132. We'll see y'all next time. And Alex, you have yourself a great evening in that Patrick Ewing 52, not his number, but the size that you're wearing. All right. See you
Peace.
guys.